Hello, 5th grade. This week we're going to make a game where things are falling from the ceiling and you have to catch them in a bowl. So I call this the apple catching game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a bowl and I want to have the apples. I want to catch the apples in the bowl. And then I'm also going to make a dog where you don't want the dog to catch into the bowl. Now you can make this any game that you want. You can make it your own design. So the first thing you're going to do is you get rid of the cat there. And I'm going to do a background search, and you just pick where you'd like it to be. I'll pick the blue sky, nice little day here. Then I'm going to go down here and choose a sprite. What do I want to do? I want to have an apple. I'll put an apple in there. And I also want to find the dog. You don't have to use a dog. You could use a bug, a different... I'll use a crab today. Why not? Sometimes I use a... Actually, no, I'll use a dog. Sometimes it's better with a dog. Let me find animal's dog. Yeah, I'll use the dog. The dog's going to be better. And I'll get rid of the crab. But, like I said, it doesn't matter. You pick the one that you like to use. And then the next thing I got to do is I have to have something to catch it in. So I'll use a bowl to catch them in. Like I said, you could use whichever one that you want. So first thing we're going to do is we want to control the bowl. So you click on the bowl over here. And events, when clicked. And we're going to do a forever loop. Forever, because we want this throughout the game. And what do we want to do? We want to say if then. Okay, so we have an if then, and we're going to say if, and we're going to do sensing, and we're going to say pressed. Okay, so we want to say if the right arrow is pressed, or if we go to the key over here and you change it from space to left or right. So what I want to do if the right arrow is clicked, I want to change. I go to motion. I want to change X. So some people get confused and they do set X. We don't want set X. We want to change X. So you can make this 5 or 10. It's up to you. And then you want to change X by -5 when the left arrow is pressed. Okay. So remember, we have an X and a Y coordinate. X is left and right. Y is up and down. So when you change X by 5, it means go this way. Change X by -5, it means go this way. And put that in the forever loop there. Okay, so let's take a look. Now when I click the flag, when I do the arrow, the bowl goes back and forth. Okay, so now we got that. Now we want to make the apple. Okay, so here's how we're going to do the apple now. First thing we want to do is we want to make the apple go to a random spot, because that's how the game looks fun if you make it random. So when the flag is clicked, I'm going to go motion, go to random. Go to a random position, and then we're going to change Y by 180. Okay, so that makes it go down because Y is up and down. So change Y by 180. That's going to make it go down. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do another one of those. When clicked, motion, go to random position, change Y by 180. Okay, change Y by 180. Okay, and now we want the apple to fall. So this is how you start the game, and now once the game's going, we want this to work. So here's how we're going to get this to go. We're going to say a forever loop. What do we want to do? We want to change motion. Change Y by 5. Okay, so not X. Make sure you pick Y. Change Y by -5. I'm sorry, -5 because we want it to fall. +5 would mean it goes up. -5 means it falls. Remember, X is left and right. Y is up and down. So change Y by -5. That's going to make it fall, I should say. And then we want to do an if-then conditional. So we'll do a control, if-then. And what do we want to do? Now, here's a little bit of an operation we have to use. We have to use operations because we're going to use a little math. And we're going to do less than. So if, and I'll put this out here so everybody could see. If, and this is a little tricky, I go to motion, and I'm going to go all the way down to the Y. If the Y position is less than -170, what we're going to do is we're going to actually make this. So I'll just duplicate this. You could drag it out again, or you could duplicate it. If it's If the y position is less than negative 170, then we're going to go to random position and change y by negative 180. So here's what this means. This one up here means when you click the flag, put it on the top and change y by 180. So the y starts going to the bottom. Now we have that again over here. Now we're saying when the ball's at the top, when the apple's at the top, make it go down by -5. So it keeps going down and falling. And if it gets lower than -170, now 170 is probably going to be way down. This is -106. This is -163. So when this gets to -170, so see this is below -170. It's saying if that happens, go to a random position and change y by 180. So this means go anywhere on the top and put the apple up here. Okay, so that's basically our code here. So now we have it falling here. Okay, so now we have it falling, and we have our ball going left and right. Okay, so far so good. Okay, we're not totally done with the code, but so far so good. Now we want to put a scoreboard. So we go variables. Okay, variables down here, and a variable is something that can change. Make a variable and call it score. Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to say events when clicked. And what do we want to do? We want to say variables set score. So you got to change this. Set score to 0. And then what do we want to do? So we're saying now we got our scoreboard up here, set score to 0. And then we want to say forever. Okay, now here's how we're going to get the game to have a score and to make sound. So forever, and we do a conditional. And we're going to say if then. If the apple is touching the ball, so we go to sensing, touching ball. So if the apple is touching the ball, what do you want to do? Well, I want to go to a sound, and you can go over here, and you can go to sounds, and you can go. I'll show you again. You just go to the sounds tab, and you click this sound. Go down here and search, and you just pick a sound that you like. And I think the kids like the pop sound. So, okay, now I go here. I say if the apple's touching the bowl, we're going to start the pop sound. And then what else do we want to do? We want to go to variables, and we want to change our score by 1. Okay, so we pay a pop sound, we change our score by 1, and then we're going to put these two in there. So I'll do control, and I'll do a duplicate, and I'm going to put this in here. Okay, so if you don't want to duplicate, you could just find them again from the motion blocks. So here's what this is saying here. So this is saying when we start the game, we're going to have our score at 0. If the apple touches the bowl, we're going to make a sound. We'll change the score by 1, and then the apple goes back to the top in a random position. So you change y by 180, gets the apple up here, and then go to random position means it goes somewhere, anywhere over here. Because you don't want to go to the same spot, because then the game is too easy. So let's take a look now. Okay, so now you have it, and you notice the score is changing, and we have a pop sound. Now, if I wanted to change this game, what I could do is I could change this number here. If I made this -10, now the game's going to change. Now it goes quicker. Okay, so you could change that if you want. You could change the sound. If you go to sounds, you can add different sounds in. You search down here. Okay, so now we have the basics of a game. Now what we want is we want to have the dog involved. Now to make the game more interesting, what I do is I make you lose points if the dog is, if you catch a dog. So the code for the dog is basically the same other than a few minor changes. So here's how you speed it up. If you want to do it, you could just actually pull all the code blocks over again. Or what you just do is, here's a quick way to do it. You click and hold, and you just drag it to the dog. Okay? I click and hold this one, and I drag it to the dog. I click and hold this one, and I drag it to the dog. Okay, so now all the code's going to be right in here. I just move it around. Okay, so this is all the same code, and we're just going to make a few minor changes. Okay, so let's make some changes. We're going to leave this one the same. You could change this to 5 or negative. You could make it as -5 or -10 based on how fast you want it to go. But this is the one where we want to change. We want to say if the dog is touching the bowl, we don't want to play a pop sound. We want to go sound, and we want to maybe make a bark sound. We'll go down here, click on sounds here, search, and let's see animal sounds. They have a bark. Let's try this one. So now we're going to say if the ball is if the dog is touching the ball, we want it to make a dog sound. Okay? And we want to change the score by -1 because you want to lose points. You want to lose points. Okay? So let's see how the game goes now. Notice I'm losing points when I get the dog. See, I'm losing points with the dog. It makes the rough sound. And I get points, and it makes a sound with the pop sound. Okay, so that's pretty much the basics of the game, and I'm going to just call this here apple catching. And I would like the students to make their own design. So there's a few things you could do to make the game go faster, right? You make this -10. To make it slower, make it like -5 or -1. You could add sounds to it. You also could do things like add 3 things if you want. You could add 3 or 4 things, however you want to do it. And same thing with the ball. If you made this if you made this 10 instead of 5, it would go a little quicker. You can make this -5 if you want. And that's the basics of our game. Put your own design on it. It doesn't have to look exactly like this. You can make something else, but this is the basics of code to make something fall, right? So you have to change the Y position. And then if the Y position is less than -170, it means if it gets really low, make it go way back to the top again, and then it falls by 10 or -5, whatever you want to do. I actually probably would say -5 makes the game a little smoother. Let's try it with -5 real quick. And I think people enjoy playing it better actually with -5, but you can experiment and then put sound in as well. So now it's a little easier to play. Okay, so the point of this week is we got our scoreboard going. We know how to have things falling from the ceiling with our loop and our conditionals here. And put your own design on it and see what you can create.